Hello and welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Imagine you have a get-out-of-jail-free card, not just for a parking ticket, but for anything, even the most serious crimes. Sounds like something out of a movie, right? But for a select group of people around the world, this isn't fiction. It's a reality called diplomatic immunity. It's a concept designed to be a shield for global relations. But what happens when that shield is used as a sword, deflecting justice and leaving victims in its wake? Today, we're diving into the complex and often shocking world of diplomatic immunity. So, what is diplomatic immunity? At its core, it's one of the oldest ideas in foreign relations, with roots stretching all the way back to ancient Greece and Rome. The idea was simple. If you want to negotiate with another nation, you need to guarantee that your messengers or envoys will be safe. You can't have them being arrested or harassed on a whim by the host country. Fast forward to today, and this principle is formalized in the 1961 Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. This agreement gives diplomats and their families near absolute protection from being prosecuted for crimes in the country where they are serving. The goal isn't to give individuals a free pass to do whatever they want. It's to ensure that the vital work of diplomacy, maintaining peace and cooperation between nations, can happen without interference. It's a shield, meant to protect the function of the state, not the person. But here's where it gets incredibly complicated. What happens when this protection leads to impunity? Let's look at some real-world cases that have shaken the public and strained international relationships. Perhaps the most heartbreaking recent example is the case of Harry Dunn. In 2019, the 19-year-old British teenager was killed in a road collision. The driver of the other car was Anne Sekulas, the wife of a U.S. diplomat. Citing diplomatic immunity, she left the U.K. shortly after the incident, avoiding any potential prosecution. Despite desperate pleas from Harry's family and the British government, the United States refused to waive her immunity. This case starkly highlighted a devastating flaw. Diplomatic immunity can completely deny justice to victims. This wasn't the first time something like this happened. Back in 1997, in Washington, D.C., a high-ranking Georgian diplomat named Gheorghe Maharadze, driving drunk, caused a massive car crash that killed a 16-year-old girl. Initially, Georgia claimed immunity for him. But the public outrage was so intense that, after a formal request from the U.S., Georgia waived his immunity. He was tried, convicted, and served a prison sentence. It's a rare example of accountability winning out. And it's not just about traffic incidents. The immunity shield has also been used to cover up labor exploitation. In 2013, Indian diplomat Devyani Khobragad was arrested in New York for visa fraud and underpaying her domestic worker. The case caused a huge diplomatic row with India, but it also shed light on a darker issue: diplomats using their protected status to exploit vulnerable workers, who often have nowhere to turn for help. This brings us to a major clash: diplomatic immunity versus fundamental human rights. Critics argue that when immunity shields people from accountability for serious human rights abuses like torture or human trafficking, it undermines the very idea of universal justice. For the victims, the road to justice is almost always a dead end. The only real hope is for the diplomat's home country to voluntarily waive their immunity. But as we saw in the Harry Dunn case, this is often refused. The host country can expel the diplomat by declaring them persona non grata, which means an unwelcome person. But while that removes the individual, it does nothing to provide justice or compensation for the victim. So, what can be done? How do we reform a doctrine that is centuries old? There are many ideas on the table. Some propose amending the Vienna Convention to create clear exceptions for serious crimes. Others suggest creating special international tribunals to hear these cases, or at least a compensation fund for victims, so they receive some form of redress. A key idea is to strengthen the principle of functional necessity, meaning immunity should only apply to acts performed as part of a diplomat's official duties, not their personal life. The challenge is immense. It's about finding that delicate balance between protecting the vital function of diplomacy and upholding the fundamental right to justice. The controversies surrounding diplomatic immunity show us that the current system, while essential, is deeply flawed. The ongoing debate is crucial to ensure this ancient legal principle can adapt to the demands of justice in our modern world. Because a shield for diplomacy should never become a sword against the innocent. That's all for this episode of Fun Facts Online. Thanks for listening.